Hey there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Some of my favorite gardens of all time were the ones that we visited in Nantucket, specifically the Sconset Bluff neighborhood. All of the gorgeous hydrangeas and the Peggy Martin roses cascading around walls, windows, and arbors were truly so magnificent. I love seeing the softness of the color palettes here with the pale pinks, purples, blues, and creams. And a lot of our garden design in our last home in North Carolina was actually inspired by this place. I planted rows of hydrangeas along the south side of our home, and I also incorporated lots of white iceberg and pale pink rose bushes and jasmine that climbed over an arbor, very similar to the climbing roses on our trip. And this garden will always hold a special place in my heart, but now that we've moved to an entirely different climate, I've had to spend the past couple of months brainstorming and coming up with a garden plan that can transform our backyard in a similar way while still incorporating plants that thrive in our hot and arid environment. So a plant that does really well here and can have similar aesthetic qualities to the climbing rose is bougainvillea. It pretty much grows like a weed here, and it's often found cascading on the walls of homes, bunching on the side of roadways, and I just love the resort-like feel that it gives off. You see a lot of bougainvillea in the Mediterranean and also in Mexico. So when I was at the store and I saw this stunning light pale pink bougainvillea, I immediately knew that this would be the perfect thing to add that soft pink color palette to my garden in a practical way. So I scooped one up and I thought she would look so beautiful trained along this long blank wall that we have, and I envision her eventually climbing this wall just to help break up the space and add that soft, lush resort-like feel. So I started with my awl to help break up the soil. Also, we are in the middle of renovating our backyard and DIYing a flagstone patio, so just excuse the dirt everywhere. But I started by digging my hole, and as you can see, we have extremely rocky and sandy soil here in this yard. Also, normally I would kind of break up the roots when planting to stimulate growth, but actually the funny thing about bougainvillea is it does well when it's stressed, but it hates root disruption during transplant. So much so that it's actually popular for people to plant the bougainvillea in the plastic planter and just cut slits for the roots to grow out of. So I just tried really hard to minimize the root disruption, and I mixed some soil with compost to help improve our drainage quality. And gardening is really just one big experiment that you get to learn from along the way. So I'm excited to try out this pale pink variety, but this is Yanni's Delight, which is not supposed to grow as large as the Barbara Karst fuchsia variety that you usually see around the valley. The Barbara Karst can actually get very wild and unmanageable if you don't trim it. So here we will see if the Yanni's Delight variety is a good thing or a bad thing. Only time will tell. The Barbara Karst can get really large, but you really do just have to stay on top of it. So I'm hopeful that this guy will span the width of the wall and just be that like large vining structure that I'm looking for. Okay, so it's been about a week since I initially planted the bougainvillea. And I mean, she is thriving. Look at how many flowers and bracts are on her now. So now what I want to do is just kind of train her up the wall so it looks really organic and like she's just kind of casually climbing the wall. So when I was on the Phoenix Home and Garden Tour, I saw these like little tiny like wall brackets basically. And that's what a lot of the designers used to train their bougainvillea and their vines and their trellises. So I found some online and I figured we could maybe start training her real quick. So I decided to spray paint the little wall anchors with this ivory colored spray paint just to help prevent rust and to make it seamlessly blend into the wall. I did end up doing both sides just to try to help prevent rusting long term. And then once they dried, I just attached the anchors to the wall with some silicone glue, and then I held the vines in place with some floral wire. I also trimmed the new growth at the bottom of the plant just to help encourage upward growth.
Where did the time go? How do we move so far away? Holding on, how much can we both take when love is in echo? I can't hear what you're saying when love is in echo. I can't hear what
Okay, so I want to do something to protect our citrus trees. I showed you guys planting these up a couple of videos ago. Everything's doing pretty good with the exception of this one pot. For some reason, the vinca in the back died, but all the other ones are doing really well. They're thriving. However, I do want to kind of heat proof these trees because they are going to get a lot of west facing sun. So to protect the trunks of the trees, I've seen kind of mixed reviews on painting it with like a citrus paint. So what I'm going to do is just wrap it with like a citrus tree wrap to hopefully protect the trunk in the summertime. Also, I noticed that we have lots of limes ready for the pickin'. She actually dropped a lime down here, and that means, well, it means a couple of things, but citrus trees are usually pretty good at dropping fruit when either it's ripe or they're stressed. So I'm thinking she's a little stressed with the heat that's kind of starting to come on. So we're going to help her out, pick some of the limes off, wrap her trunk. So hopefully she's a little bit better equipped to handle the heat and yeah, get her ready for the summer.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring.
Okay, so now that we're freshly stocked up on the limes, I wanted to show just a really simple and easy drink that I've been making with them lately. I'm not kidding you, it's like 3 ingredients and it's so simple, but it's just really light and refreshing and makes everything feel really seasonal and special. You know, sometimes you just need that little recipe that makes things feel fresh when you just get in those like recipe ruts or like you're having the same thing for lunch every day. So, okay, so all you need is a lime, and then I have this mango grapefruit sparkling water, but you can use any flavor of sparkling water. And then this is kind of like the magic ingredient or like the wow ingredient, and this is the organic guava nectar. I got this at Trader Joe's, but I'm sure you can find something similar at like a larger grocery store. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our lime, fill our cup up with some ice, and I just squeeze a lime in there, our sparkling water. And I just add a little bit of this for flavor and color, and it just takes the sparkling water to the next level. Beautiful. But yeah, so good, so refreshing. Perfect for a summer day. So now I want to kind of show you guys the herb garden and what we got going on inside. Okay, so here's our little countertop herb garden, and this is a west-facing window, so I don't really need to add a lot of supplemental light or any like UV lamps or anything. And in my Marshalls and TJ Maxx video, I showed you guys me planting up the rosemary and the mint in these really beautiful kind of like French style endues planters. And I just love that they give off like that rustic kind of Mediterranean look. So a lot of times when I'm buying my plants, I will stick to the ones that they sell at the grocery stores, just because in the past I had a bad aphid problem with the ones that I bought from the outdoor garden centers. I'm sure it's fine if you bring it home and you kind of just like spray it off with some water, but if I can buy them at the grocery store, that's typically where I would choose to buy them. So over here we have our mint going strong, and then next to it I planted these green onions. And you guys, I don't know if you know this, but I learned this just a couple months ago, that you can take store-bought green onions, chop off the top, and then just plant the bottom part, and they will grow just like this. That's exactly what I did. And it's just so nice because you can cut off the top part, leave the rooted part in there, and then you can use that to garnish things like soups or your eggs, and then it just regrows. So it just grows back from the same thing that you cut off. So yeah, I've been having a lot of success with these green onions. Over here, we have our basil, and this I just bought from Trader Joe's. And I know I planted the rosemary and the mint in, you know, I added those in with soil, but for some some reason with the basil, I just find it easier to keep it in the original planter, and then I just like pop it in here, and it usually does really well like that. Basil is more of a thirstier herb, so I'm watering this one the most out of any of the herbs that I have here. And then lastly, we got the rosemary here, very fitting for our Mediterranean vibe, and I love using this in things like seasonings and potatoes, or you know, using it in sauces. Like I make a fig rosemary sauce that I love to put on chicken and stuff. So just nice to have all of this right here in the kitchen. Just makes it feel so much more kind of like indoor outdoor, and it's just a great way to kind of dress up my cooking and add some fresh flavor. Okay, so now I want to share a little recipe using the basil from our herb garden as a garnish. It tastes so fresh, so delicious. So this is all you need. I got a little ciabatta baguette here. You can use a regular baguette, but I prefer this from Trader Joe's. I do think this takes it to the next level. Same thing with this goat cheese. You can really use any spreadable cheese that you have, but this honey goat cheese from Aldi is like my favorite. And then just some fresh blackberries, some garlic salt, olive oil, and honey, and then of course our basil as a garnish. And I'm going to show you guys, this comes together so quick and it's so easy. Okay, so now I'm going to lightly toast these. I do this in my little air fryer at 350 degrees for like 3.5 minutes. But if you're using an oven or you're doing like a larger batch, I'd maybe do it at 400 and do it for like 5-ish minutes and just check until it's golden brown. Okay, so we're gonna do a little on-camera taste test. I mean, the aesthetics of this dish alone are very impressive. It's very simple, really light. Again, just kind of highlights those garden summery flavors. You have the basil, you have the blackberries. Bonus points if you can grow blackberries in your garden. I actually grew blackberries back in North Carolina and they grew so well there. So let's do a little taste test. It's just so simple and so flavorful. You have a little bit of that saltiness balanced out with the sweetness of the blackberry. The nice sweet hint of the basil just gives it a really fresh taste. And obviously you can't go wrong with goat cheese. So yeah, just wanted to share this one with you guys because it is one of my new summer favorites. Okay, so next we have a little garden craft, and this was inspired by these herb markers that I made in the ceramic studio, and these turned out so beautiful, but they were definitely a lot of work and took a lot of time. First, I had to slab roll it and cut it all out. I marked all of the letters, and then it has to be fired in a kiln after this step. So after the first kiln firing, then I spent hours painting the designs on the bisque fired pieces, and I will say I was really happy with how the designs turned out, but then after that I have to dip it in the white glaze and then it has to be fired again. So while I'll treasure these pieces and they're such beautiful garden accessories, they did take access to a studio and months to make, so I wanted to create a much easier version that someone could do at home in a weekend. So first I started off with this air dry clay and rolled it out. They have a bunch of different colors, but I picked the terracotta one for that rustic earthy feel. Then I used some cookie cutters to cut out my circles, and personally I'm going for that organic handmade rustic look, so I don't need to get anything too perfect, but I did just use some water to smooth out the edges and get rid of any drastic blemishes, and then I used a straw to make all of the holes. After that I stamped my letters, and I actually found these stamps at the thrift store, but I'm sure you can get a similar set at a local craft store. And I also learned that by doing this a bunch of times it was much easier to center the letters if I started started with the middle letters first. So once everything was stamped, I waited a couple of days for the clay to fully dry. Obviously things dry out very quickly here, so you just want to make sure you give it enough time to fully dry out before the next step, which is sealing the clay with this spray sealer. And I just made sure to get both sides as well as the edges. And there's something about that earthy rustic look that really elevates a space when it comes to garden accessories and decor. So I just kept it simple on this set and made the letters white. I used an acrylic paint to get into the indented letters, and then I wiped the excess off with a damp sponge and a paper towel. And I actually really loved how the simple homemade ones turned out. There's a couple of options when it comes to using them. You can simply just tie some jute or twine around a planter and display the herb marker this way. Just really simple and rustic, which I love. But I also had the idea in my head to use some wire. So at the craft store, they had a bunch of different colors, and I went with the gold just to match our faucet and kitchen hardware. So here I just cut the wire double the length of what I wanted, and then I folded it in half, and I just used some wire tools to flatten the end, and I made a little hook shape with that end of the wire, and then I twisted the two sides together all the way to the bottom. And as you can tell, this was kind of a difficult thing to do on camera, but this is just going to help add some texture and also create a stronger wire. And I am seriously so impressed with how these came out. I mean, they're basically just like jewelry for your garden. I did not even know my countertop herbs needed herb charms until now. They really are just the perfect finishing touch to this space and help to add a dash of whimsy and charm. And these would make such a fun gift for a gardener, or they'd also be great to make for labeling seedlings or even in raised beds. All right, everyone, that about wraps up this gardening themed video. I hope that you all enjoyed it and found some inspiration, whether your gardening space is big or small, outdoors or indoors. And I just want to thank you guys again so much for watching, and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. It really does help to support my channel. And make sure that you're subscribed if you want to see more gardening and home decorating content, because I post videos every single week, and you can hit the notification bell so you're notified when those videos go live. And again, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!